Aloha everybody and welcome to Facing Our Future. I'm your host Angus McKelvey, and as always every Wednesday we bring you live conversation on the topics and trends facing our society and helping to define our future. Today we are focusing in on politics, elections, and in particular young people. What do young people think about the political process? Are they getting more involved? Is the method of reaching young people different than what has happened in the past? I'm very excited to be joined by two young Democrats today who are leaders in the field. First, Brittany Amano, who works for a congressional campaign for one of our own local leaders. And of course, we have Raytan Vares, who is a member of the Young Democrats Club and is currently an assistant to the Senate Majority Leader. Welcome. How are you guys doing today?
Great,
All right, welcome. Thanks for coming and joining us today. You've heard it all before, plenty of times. Young people, they are the golden standard for which all politicians try. Back in 1960, Kennedy, as you know, tried to reach out to get young people. Clinton tried it again in the 1990s. But only with Barack Obama did you actually see the kind of turnout for young people in the voting process. So now we're 2014 and we're moving forward. What do you think is the state of young people in politics today? Are they more involved? Are they more engaged because of the Obama years? Or do you think that perhaps the trends of past years to which young people may not be as involved is the current trend? Go for it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brittany. Please.
Well, I think that ever since Obama came into the administration, that a lot of young people have become involved and they are staying involved. Just because Obama is now leaving the presidency, a lot of young people, once they started the habit of voting, they're going to continue the habit of voting. And the good thing with starting early is that they continue it for the rest of their lives, and they're more likely to encourage their kids to start voting when they become of age. So a lot of younger people are becoming more civically engaged, and even though Obama won't be running for the presidency again this year because he finished his term, a lot of them are still going to become civically engaged and stay involved.
Raytan, do you think that is the trend?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I think what Obama's did, his campaign in 2008, really set off, I guess, this passion that young people have to get involved. But I think now that his presidency is coming to an end, I think they're going to get involved in other ways. I really see a lot of young people voicing their making political statements online, via Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So I think they're and it's as technology evolves. This is the millennial generation. We're very tech savvy. I think when it comes to political and civic engagement, you'll see them get involved on that level.
The social media, internet sphere, electronic sphere like that. Well, one of the things that happened, when Obama was running his re-election campaign, there was an internal schism within his campaign of, there was a group that said, hey, we need to invest in iPads and smartphones and get out and identify our people and network and connect with them. Others in the camp said, this is the same thing people have been chasing for years. We're not going to get the young people. They took the advice and went this way. And that was credited as part of the reason why they were able to have such a robust turnout. Do you see social media beyond the engagement stage as an important tool for young people who are helping in campaigns or want to get involved beyond just a way of communicating political ideas and concerns?
Well, I see it as something that's really crucial for campaigns. I know right now all of my friends who are really involved politically are voicing their opinions on who to vote for and why to vote for them, and saying, well, I support this person, and these are the issues that they care about and the issues that the bills that they passed this past session, and this is why I think we should vote for them. And for a lot of other people who are campaigning, they often post the issues that they care about and all the events that they're planning. So a lot of young people, due to personal experience, I see a lot of young people coming to these events, and a lot of people find out about it through Facebook and through other social media avenues. So I feel that social media is really crucial to reach out to all of these young people who might not respond if an invitation came through the mail or through other
it's a snail mail. They're going to be like, oh, well, there we go again. But I mean, it seems to me, and Raytan, correct me if I'm wrong here, young people are more, I guess, willing to engage actively Whereas you see older people, when they get social media, communications, email, it's like, okay, they're notified, they keep up trend. But young people, are they willing to more like to, when they get that communication, that's the tweet, they'll tweet back or tweet out and kind of get the conversation going?
Yeah, I think it begins there. I mean, when say they get a tweet, or they get a message from a friend on Facebook saying, hey, can you show up, or this is what's going on. This is not good, or this is bad. I think they're more likely to tweet back or to message back to their friend and say, hey, this is how I feel. And then I think it begins there. And then I think, if the issue is really, I guess, if the issue, I guess, interests them enough, they'd be more willing to actually show up in person and maybe testify at a hearing, or protest on the sidewalk or something. But I just think it begins there.
It begins there, and it begins the engagement and the connection.
It shouldn't end there. Yeah. That is the connection to how to get, I think, more young people civically engaged.
So just to real quickly, nationally, you had Obama, the way he reached out to young people and he targeted them. Do you think a Hillary Clinton or another type of presidential candidate will have that momentum because young people are now engaged, or do you think there's still a cult of personality that may be present in these types of races?
Well, I actually see a lot of young people supporting Hillary Clinton. I know on the Ready for Hillary website, they're actually trying to recruit a lot of high school and college students, so they even have a volunteer page open. And actually, when I went up to Washington, D.C. recently, I met up with a lot of the people who are running the Ready for Hillary campaign, and a big thing that they want is a lot of young women and a lot of just youth in general to come out and not just support Hillary, but just to become more civically engaged and, know what's going on and fight for the issues that they care about.
Just get them involved, have them fight for the issues, and then the idea being is their candidate, Hillary in this case, will be one that best represents their values and listening to their message, right? Is that a concern that's come up in Washington, D.C.? We have this social communication, but is our apparatus ready to listen and engage and not just be sending out, information? And then when it returns, inquiries, things like that, there's no type of engagement. Is that an important part when talking to those people, in DC about getting the engagement factor through social media?
It is a huge thing. I know the Ready for Hillary page right now, they're really pushing through various forms of social media, and basically through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram, and they're always reaching out to everyone, commenting back on what people say, and reposting pictures. I know I have a friend who's a really big Ready for Hillary fan, and she went to the Clinton Global Institute, which is open to college students, and she ended up getting a picture with Hillary, posted it on Instagram, and the Ready for Hillary page reposted it, and that was like the highlight of her life. That was the highlight of her life.
My 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Raytan, on state politics, and you both touched upon this, and talking about the bills that have passed, and before we've seen social media in the big ticket, big name races, but now are you seeing young people, particularly in Hawaii, getting involved in the state level, local level issues and candidates and those themselves?
Yes, I am. I think I did want to mention about how social media and I think every local campaign, I'm seeing it more and more now among the local campaigns, whether it be for a state house, a state senate, or even the gubernatorial races. They each have a social media director. I know Abercrombie, when he was running for governor in 2010, he had a great social media program, and that was really crucial, I think, to getting his message out to young people to come out and vote. I think it's essential, and I think local candidates now, new people running for office, identify that they need a social media person. They need a social media presence. I think the most common one is Facebook.
Yes.
So I think that's essential.
But also the candidate themselves, the person themselves should be personally invested in social media outreach, right? Instead of just having the coordinator, because isn't it more, I guess for young people, don't they feel like, hey, when I hear back from that person, when that person comments on my post, then I feel like I'm engaging them? Or is there a concern, perhaps, especially since you've been working in some of these political things, that the social media person could end up being the only point of contact to the outside world and therefore diminish the use or effectiveness of social media with younger voters?
I think, I think a lot of the candidates now, I think they come to understand and realize that, yeah, they need to feel personally invested. They need to know what this is all about. So I think you'll see a lot of the sitting representatives right now, they have Facebook pages, and I think a lot of them have some experience, updating their profile and whatnot. And so I think they've identified it, and I think it's something that they actually do on their own personal time. Yeah.
But the passive, the thing is, often the discussion's been, well, a lot of the people especially older people who are running or in office, they'll make it a passive engagement. They'll send out, tweets and Facebook notices that don't either in response to what's being put up there, or they put it up there and then they get comments and there's no return back. So do you think for young people especially, if you want to get them engaged, that the candidate or office holder themselves has to really become personally vested and give that type of active feedback through social media? Is that the raising of the bar that young people, the millennium generation, are expecting through social media?
I do. I think when you get a comment back, from the comment that you put forth, when you get a response back from the actual candidate, from the actual office holder, I think that holds a lot of weight. They're actually speaking to you. The council member for this district actually responded to my statement. I think that means a lot, and I think they're more likely to engage more. I think if they get direct communication from the elected official.
So Brittany, do you think that what Raytan was saying, that engagement, both within your peers and the office holders, is really the key of why social media has become important with the millennium generation, that active give and take?
Yes, I totally agree with what Raytan said about just having the office holders replying to and staying engaged with young people, so that the young people are inclined to stay civically engaged and vote, and know what's going on, know what the candidates are fighting for, and know who they want to represent them. But I also feel with younger people, especially in high school, around the high school age, when students might be their first time voting, they might not be able to vote till the next election. I feel that it's also really important for candidates to maybe come and do open forums and listen to what high school students want or what college students want, instead of just staying engaged on social media. I also believe that face-to-face contact is also really important, to know that the person that's representing you really cares about what the young people have to say, rather than just staying connected over a computer.
Yeah. I mean, you think that you need that face-to-face.
I think you do need face-to-face, and I see a lot of the lawmakers already doing it, or at least our local officials. Some of the high school groups will come down. Intermediate, elementary school students will come and visit. They'll get tours. Being led by the representative for their school is in. So I think there is a face-to-face, and I know I got an opportunity while I was in intermediate school to come here. Or actually to go to the state capitol and see it. I was amazed. I think that was, one of the few experiences that I've had that really sparked my interest in politics, and this whole, government, public affairs. What that is. And so
exactly.
I think face to face is crucial.
It's a crucial component of the social media. It's not. Don't replace the human contact for the social media.
I don't think it can be replaced. I don't think it should. I think social media can definitely supplement and add to the face-to-face contact.
So the message here for us old fogies, then, for the millennium generation, is don't put us into a social media electronic shell. That human contact and interaction, and being able to know that you're listening to us, that is part and parcel of the value system, you think, for new voters today?
Yeah. Right.
Definitely. Well, that's really one of the things that's become interesting. The trends that has been come up looking at young people is that they're identifying less and less with a particular party.
Right.
A new study just came out about a week ago showing that among Americans, mostly older Americans, those who identify by party tend to be more ideologically siloed. Republicans ID'd more conservative, and progressives with the Democrat side. Do you see that same trend among young people insofar as those who identify with the party might be more ideologically driven? Or do you think that the millennium generation is demanding independence of a party system and to put forth the idea, be making an idea-based valuation? But do you
I think many in this generation don't identify with the party because perhaps they just don't agree with the policies and the principles of each political party. But I think there is also the fact that I think a lot of the young people don't even know why they should become a Democrat or a Republican. I think they just don't know what the party represents, and that's, I think, is a messaging problem. It's a communication issue.
From the parties themselves.
From the parties themselves, yes. And I think that can be resolved through social media. That is the connection. Again, it's a messaging issue, and so I think it goes both ways. The party needs to do more. The parties need to do more to educate young people about what they stand for and why
why we're important. Why are we relevant? I mean, why is the party relevant today to young people? Because it seems that's a big question. I mean, is the relevancy of parties becoming more a profound question among young people? I mean, so definitely. So you message out a lot of things, are generational. We look at the older generation who became Democrats from back in the day, from the 50s. Being part of the party was important because this is how our lives are made better. This is how we get the rights and the opportunities, equity and income and everything else. So do you think, given today with the mobility of society and the way people move around, that type of valuation, of the party, being a part of party is important, or being a part of this organization is important because of what it brings to me? Do you think that has kind of disappeared and now it is more about looking at, how does this party group fit into my valuation of what I like to see in society? Do you think that that's one of the generational changes we're seeing in Hawaii in particular between the millennium and the past generations?
Well, I see that in the millennium, a lot of young people, they're voting for the people who are fighting for the issues that they care about more than about what political party they belong to. A lot of young adults I see are not really identifying with a party like what you said, but are more just looking at the issues and looking at who's fighting for what and looking at what they want. And that's how they're choosing who to vote for instead of what political parties each person belongs to. And like what Raytan said, a lot of young people just don't know how to fit into the parties and know much about the parties to completely decide with one and decide, oh, these are all the candidates that I'm going to vote for because this is the political party that I belong to. But that's no longer the case, and we don't see it as much with the younger generation.
The younger generation really wants each person to make their case for themselves to the voter. So for instance, millennium voters that are most they won't go what they call ticket voting, where you go in and go every D, every R, every one. They look at for instance, person to person to person as far as how they match up with their value system issues, right? So you can see a hodgepodge of But that's great. I mean, isn't that what we're looking for in a democracy?
Yes, yeah. I think we do want to put the best people in office, whether they be, no matter what party they are associated with. But I think the parties have identified, they've noticed that the young people aren't gravitating towards them, because I think the young people are more independent minded, and so I think parties know that. I think they're gonna evolve, and they're gonna change themselves to try and pick up these voters that do think for themselves, and so I think the parties are gonna evolve. That's what I think is taking place.
Much needed evolution.
Right, yeah, just so that they can, again, I think become relevant to young people. I mean, it's all about relevance.
And if they don't become relevant, you might see what the trend is happening in Hawaii, which has now been noticed nationally, which is you're having a lot of people, granted they're not millennium generation, but younger, running as libertarians and nonpartisan. I think there's a libertarian almost in every race right now, House and Senate, and that was a result, at least from my discussion with people in the community, of the internet, social media discussions, hey, they're not listening to us, it's a two-party system, we need something else. So you're starting to see this rise. Do you think that with young people demanding that, hey, we're not party identified, we look to the person, do you think this is what will be a catalyst for new parties, libertarians or others, to emerge where before they were kind of in the fringes of the woods?
Yeah, I think, I know Ron Paul when he was running for president in 2008, he had a lot of young people voting for him. You know, he really identifies as a libertarian. Although he was running as a Republican, you know, I think a lot of young people gravitated towards him because, you know, they liked his independence. They liked the way he stood on civil liberties. And so I think, you know, I'm not sure if. So I think he sort of. I think he tapped this inner desire for young people to just sort of splinter themselves or separate themselves from the dominant party systems in the United States, and just kind of create their own.
Yeah, he was a Republican.
Either independent or a libertarian.
Yeah, he was a Republican who ran a libertarian thing, social media, but he engaged young people through the social media, which is what you could probably see. But it's funny because a lot of them who were inspired by that are running as libertarians or nonpartisans now.
That's right.
So that's really made a big impact then as far as young people go. So already you are changing this tune of the song in quite a profound way insofar as you have national groups, national candidates who are looking to the individuality of the millennium generation. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break in our discussion, but we'll be right back to talk about young people, politics in the future, and what are the hot button issues for the millennium generation in the next election and beyond. We'll be right back.
I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us.
Okay, it's every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll see you there.
Aloha, everybody, and welcome back to Facing Our Future. I'm your host, Angus McKelvey, and today we're talking politics, elections, and in particular, the millennium generation. What do young people look for in the political system? Who are they most likely to support, and what issues are important to them? And once again, thanks for joining us, both of you, two active young people in politics today who are trying to make a voice in our future. Okay, hot button issues. If you were to go out, I know, especially with the millennium generation, everybody's got their own hit parade, if you want to say, but if you were to, in talking to your friends and others, what are some of the top, I guess, 3 issues that you constantly hear, particularly from young people, that they want to see addressed or talked about in the political sphere?
Well, right now, among a lot of high school and college students, what I hear is about the minimum wage. A lot of high school students and college students start off working at minimum wage, and some of them have to support themselves, some of them have to help support their families, and it's hard when minimum wage hasn't been raised in so long, but there's a huge inflation gap right now. So that's a huge topic that a lot of people are talking about among a lot of high school and college students, as well as college affordability, making college more accessible to middle class people, and also being able to do a year of service in exchange for a year of tuition. That's another hot topic that's coming out right now, especially among the congressional race. And another topic that's really popular is sustainability. I know a lot of people, they really want to see Hawaii become more sustainable, especially when they come back from college. They want to see Hawaii becoming a cleaner state, more energy efficient. We have so many options to become less reliant on oil, but we just need to utilize those resources. And especially with the whole hot topic coming out especially with solar and with what's going on with Hawaiian Electric, a lot of young people are really caring about coming back to Hawaii, maybe after they come back from college, and being able to use clean energy. Being able to afford energy, able to afford housing. Housing is a huge topic as well. Being able to come back and being able to buy a house with not only the high prices, but also a lack of houses and
Lack of housing entry
lack of housing, yes.
opportunities instead. Raytan, top three. Do you agree with that? Those are the top three right now among millennium voters when you talk to them?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think of sustainability, whether it be food sustainability, Hawaii's energy independence. I think that's crucial. That really means a lot to young people. I think also the cost of living in Hawaii is huge, and I think for a person like myself, a young professional, I graduated from college 2 years ago, and trying to make it. I got a good job right now, but I know a lot of my classmates, are making minimum wage. They're struggling. They have kids. They have families to take care of, and so, I think the cost of living issue is important for everybody in Hawaii, but I think it's especially, I guess, crucial for young people, who are trying to make it on their own. But it's hard. So, I would agree with Brittany and say the cost of living, Hawaii's sustainability, the ability to feed ourselves and to be energy independent. Affordable housing, that's also a big issue, and that also goes to the cost of living. That's connected with the cost of living issue, but I guess the availability of affordable housing is big.
Really key.
And I guess there's not enough affordable housings out there.
Well, okay, for us old fogies, and I'll throw myself in that category right away. These issues have been brought up in almost every election. I can remember back when I was your age, back in the 90s. Now I'm really dating myself here. Affordable housing, wasn't sustainability, but affordable housing, reversing the brain drain, things, everybody says, I'm going to do this, but obviously this issues keep continuing to move forward. Do you think young people, millennium voters, are demanding either an aggressive approach to actually make headways on these issues, or do you think through their involvement, they're wanting to challenge lawmakers and others to look at these problems and attack them in different ways so that we don't just keep getting the same results over and over again? Do you see that as a trend among young people when they want to be engaged? It's like, hey, shaking it up just isn't us getting involved. It's like, what new ideas, what new things are you going to do to actually make an impact in these areas?
Yeah, I think, just yesterday we had a meeting, and it was at this place called Box Jelly. It's a co-working space. Young people anybody can go in, and it's an open area, or it's an open office space. So you can sit next to somebody who is, who works for a different company than you, and you can share this open space with them. There's coffee you can drink, water. It's a very comfortable. It's an environment that young people can work in and share. I think that's how young people. I guess we're comfortable with that.
With an ecosystem.
We're comfortable. I think in an environment like that where we share a lot of things. Of course, we want our own, but.
But that's one area right there where
we
we could look at and say, okay, this is where young people are experiencing results. This is a way to create I call it the Reese's peanut butter effect. You have somebody next cubicles talking peanut butter, you're talking chocolate. Whoops, I got my opponent. Look what a great thing we have coming out now. So those are the types of things that, millennium generation wants to see us move on to create these areas of opportunity for young people, just so that when you're together and you're brainstorming and working, that these new ideas and innovations can come forward.
I think we feed off each other when we're in an environment like that. We can share ideas, share our best ideas with each other, and I think we can feed off each other's energy. And I think in creating environments like that, create these kinds of things.
Right.
So with affordable housing, this is a big one. This one comes up all the time, and I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. But discussions through social media and others, have any ideas come out, on affordable housing, be it either a need or that you think should be front and center for not only this election but moving forward? What do young people think about addressing affordable housing issues? What types of ideas have you seen that may be coming from the millennium generation that older lawmakers and decision makers should herald or get involved with?
Yeah. So with affordable housing, a lot of topics that have been coming up and a lot of solutions that we've been hearing about is a lot of more like lateral living, a lot of sky rises, and making those affordable so that people can live there, and then making also transportation infrastructure so that it's easy to get everywhere. I know with the whole rail situation that's going on, but also buses and having people just being able to live and commute in these metropolitan areas and being able to commute to work, and just making affordable housing and having these young people being able to come back to Hawaii and raise a family and be able to afford everything.
So affordable housing in perpetuity, real perpetuity, affordable housing perpetuity. It sounds like creating, again, that social infrastructure, be it around a transit-oriented development or other types of, will help to not only provide an opportunity to live here, but also provide the interaction, of a community, exchange ideas, things like that, right?
Yeah, I think young people are urbanites. We love the urban, we love the city, and I think one primary example that the city are trying to create, or this community that they're trying, is Kaka'ako.
Okay.
Kaka'ako.
Very popular subject.
Yeah, and I think the idea is for these young people to come back home, or come back from the mainland, or keep the ones that are here, and to create this community of young people in Kaka'ako. Because it's hard to find young people interested in farming.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many. There are young people out there that want to become farmers. But I think a majority of us are urbanites. We love urban living. We love to be close to the scene, the club scene, the city scene.
Close to the action, close to the club scene, things. And that's why, perhaps, when we talk workforce development and others in areas like Kaka'ako, if they're done with the social infrastructure, that term, having that connection, businesses around, rec schools, parks, places, where young people can get together, congregate, you have that quality of living. You're not giving something up to be in that high rise, in that condo. So that's the type of planning that decision makers should look forward to, as far as real smart growth to attract young people into an area and revitalize it, right? I mean, do you see that as really a key to, we talk about revitalization all the time, but do you think that's a key when planners get together, be it the city level or state level? It's like they should look to these areas like, okay, young people naturally will be attracted. How do we develop a smart community that will bring them in and have them stay to build that next corpus of that population for that area? Is that something that decision makers really need to focus on when they look at these areas, like young people in particular?
I feel that that's a huge topic that decision makers need to focus on. The thing with youth now in Hawaii is a lot of them are going to the mainland for college, and 90% of them aren't coming back because a lot of them see that it's so much cheaper to live on the mainland. They see so much more opportunity, and they just decide not to come back because they don't see much opportunity here, and they also know that it's hard to afford things. So by having lawmakers focus on making metropolitan areas and making sure that there's affordable housing, so when young adults do go to the mainland, that they know that they can come back and that they see more opportunity here, and that the best and brightest that grew up in Hawaii make sure to come back and contribute their talents.
That's one of your ideas, actually, you just touched upon at the beginning of our segment, something that was explored back in 2006 or 4, what unfortunately died, was the idea of incentivizing people to return, like the tuition program you were talking about. Is that something like if young people were to know, hey, I go to college, even if it's on the mainland, and I get a degree in this area, particularly the fields which were really need, like specialists in the medicals and technology, do you think like if there was something like that, I could go to a place on the mainland, but in exchange for the tuition, I have to come back and work X amount of years in Hawaii? Do you think that's something that would help to re-incentivize young people to look back to coming home at all?
Well, I think that for me, I think Hawaii needs to offer jobs. The state needs to create jobs that a lot of young people are interested in. I think even I guess whether they be jobs in the tech industry or the healthcare industry. I know a lot of friends that I have. A lot of friends are nurses. They're in the medical industry, and I think with Hawaii's aging population, I think there's going to be a lot of jobs in that industry that many young people can fill. But I think the job creation is huge for young people. I think much of the reason why they're there, they decide to relocate to the mainland is because there's more opportunity there. There's more job opportunities. It's cheaper, to live. The cost of living is a lot cheaper. So I think young people they're looking for opportunity, and I think they're more likely to find it on the mainland.
On the mainland, they feel like, hey, you know what? There's more opportunity. There's a better chance to get that affordable housing, that apartment, to make good money, and be near the scene, like you said, where things are happening.
Right.
So, so the thing is, government then needs to look at when they incentivize certain things, these types of parameters, saying, hey, we want to bring young people in. This is important. A case in point, I think, where you see what happens if you don't try to plan or create an incubator for young people is what's happening in Hilo, where the town becomes grayer and older. Young people are not coming in. If they are, they're leaving right away. They're not staying. And as a result, you're starting to lose that kind of energy and diversity that comes from young people being there. So, do you think that when you look at areas like that, particularly in neighbor islands, that's something that decision makers need to really focus in on, is how do we create an environment or incentivize things so more young people come into these areas? Do you think that's something that should be front and center for areas like in the neighbor islands where you don't see young people staying?
I see that as a really good option. It would make a lot of people that go to the mainland for college definitely come back if they see that they can get their education and it's funded by Hawaii, funded by the state of Hawaii. Then they're going to want to give back to the people that to the people that funded their education and also the place they grew up. So by funding their education, even if they go to the mainland, and by having them come back, you not only they not only know that they have a job that's secured, but they also will have the want to give back to the community here. So I feel that that's really important.
And that's a strong trend in the millennial generation: community give back, community involvement.
Right.
I mean, you've seen the president talk about it, and others. Do you think it is as strong as it's been made out to be? The community involvement is important to your generation and giving back.
Absolutely, I think I see it. When I was in college at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, there were many opportunities for students to volunteer at a lo'i, a taro patch, or a community center, community nonprofit. There are many opportunities out there, and there was, but see, it was only because, it was part of the requirements to pass a course.
Right.
Did they have to, did they actually go and volunteer? So when you sort of institutionalize it in that way, I think young people, are going to do it. Well, they have to do it, but I think it also, at the same time, it really helps them, maybe discover what they want to do following college.
Right.
It helps lead them into the career path that they want to pursue.
So it's like voting. It's like I get a taste of it, and now it's exciting, good, and they're more likely to come and say, "I'll just do it for my own volition, not my own reasonings right now."
It tastes good after all.
It tastes good after all. Well, speaking of taste, we're going to take another break here for some messages from our sponsors. However, we'll be right back talking facing our future, young people, politics and future, and is the media really listening to what young people have to say? We'll be right back.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the ThinkTech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha, everybody. Welcome back to Facing Our Future. I'm your host, Angus McKelvey. And today the topic is young people, the election process, politics. What is it going to take to get them involved? Are they involved? And is the public listening to the dialogue that they feel is important for our future? We were talking about, the idea of civic engagement, of getting involved. As you see the media moving forward, both in politics in general and in coverage of public issues, do you think that there's a view that they're not speaking to young people, that they're not conveying things that young people feel are important, which may be one of the reasons why young people turn to social media to get that conversation going?
Yeah, I think young people want to. They want the issues spoken to them in their language, and I think whether that be in a text or in a tweet or in a message on Facebook, I think it's just you need to talk to young people in their lingo. Mm-hmm. I think there's just a certain way to talk to them. I think you kind of need to warm up to them, or kind of massage them. I think young people are many of them are insecure. They just aren't sure that the person that they're talking to is they can trust. Mm-hmm. So I think I think when talking politics or talking issues, they want to talk to somebody that they can trust. Mm-hmm. And I think it probably begins on a personal level first. Mm-hmm. That's why I think friends are more likely to talk to friends.
Yeah. And the young bloggers are more likely to pick up the audience and say a columnist at a newspaper has been writing about stuff for 50 years and keeps mentioning names from the past over and over and over again. Doesn't that seem to me, if I was a millennium generation person, that's the kind of conversation coming up from the media that I would almost want to turn to social media, because like you said, they're not discussing this in terms, or it just seems like they're not bringing it into our world.
Many of us don't read newspapers. Mm-hmm. We may have a Star Advertiser app on our iPhone, or but I think many of us don't read the newspaper. We don't read the Charles Krautheimer columns, but so I think so I think a lot of young people are getting their news via Facebook. Via these social media mediums. So
the media should actually face the future right now. They need to actively, even though it's through an app delivery system, have writers who are engaging young people in the language they use and the subjects and conversations that are coming up within all over Honolulu, the state of Hawaii, or all around the world.
Right.
So the young people today, this isn't kind of a thing that's been stuck on my mind a little bit. And you brought it up with the habitual voting. Right. Once you vote, you get into the habit of voting and everything else. Do you think that it's not so much a habit of voting, or it's more about the realization of empowerment? Hey, this last election, we reached out, we voted, we got the president we wanted. We're seeing issues discussed now at the Square building or at the City and Council, which weren't before, sustainability. Is that the habit that's been formed, a habit of empowerment, as opposed to just the habit of voting?
I see that a lot of young people, they're not only voting, but they're also making sure to get involved in other ways, whether it's by supporting a campaign, or by submitting testimony, or by just contacting their elected officials. So it's not just by saying, I'm just going to vote and that's it. Yeah. But they're actually making sure to stay on top of everything that's going on. And I feel that that's by getting them civically engaged, by just inspiring them to vote, first of all, and just to stay on top of things and to know what's going on, then the rest of it comes with it.
It almost seems like the younger voter is a savvy voter, because they're tracking what was said, why they voted for that person, and continuing to engage them beyond that election period, so they can actually compare apples and hey, 2 years ago you said this, but to me, but I've been watching, and these bills that you've introduced, it doesn't reflect it. Do you think young people are basically, because of social media interaction and that conversation, are creating this accountability that often gets lost in these election periods?
I see that often, that a lot of them will vote for someone and they'll remember why they voted for them, like what they promised, and if they don't see that the person went through with it like he or she promised, then oftentimes they'll look towards another candidate, maybe look towards a libertarian, or look towards someone who's fighting for the issues that they care about, and they want a fresh perspective, they want a new face. And a lot of young people, they also want people that are relatable to them, so a lot of young people will vote for young people. So it's really good to see that a lot of younger people are getting elected. I know locally we have the Hawaii Future Caucus, which is the bipartisan caucus, and they're getting things done. And it just gives a lot of hope to young people that they can be listened to, that that they'll be listened to, and that their issues will be taken care of.
Yeah, and what's the Young People's Caucus has been really good in talking to some of the members of that caucus, because the issues that they want to see are issues actually that we all wrestle with.
Right.
But what I'm getting from them is like, you know what, we don't want to keep revisiting the same with generalities. We want specifics. We want new ideas. Do you think that the millennial generation is almost demanding, some new idea? Look at this a different way. Be disruptive. Be outside of the box. Is that the new type of bar that you think is being raised by millennium generation voters when they're involved in the political process?
Yeah, I think it depends on the issue. You look at what's hot. What's hot right now is the GMO issue, GMO labeling issue, genetically modified organisms. A lot of young people are gravitated to that issue, and I think social media has played a big part in stimulating this involvement. So I think for a lot of young people, it's I think they're very issue oriented. I think they're very picky on which issues they want to get involved with. But I think with an issue like that, I think they are strongly demanding. Okay, hey, we want labeling. We want to know what we're eating. So I think to answer your question, I think it depends on the issue.
It really depends. It's
It
more of
depends
an
on the issue.
issue-oriented
Right.
type. One of the things that have happened in the past, some have said, okay, young people, they're involved, they're great at turning out the masses of the street, but it's black and white. Like this issue is like this, and the world is very nuanced shades of gray. Do you think that assessment, which has been made about young people in the past, even my generation, not to undate myself here, but do you think that criticism? Do you hear that again today? And do you think, what would you argue to somebody or say to somebody who would, I guess, try to brand the millennium generation with that type of, you don't know the real world, it's just black and white. I mean, what is your response when you get something like that? And do you think really that millennium generation, no, we are not like previous generations. We are much more sophisticated and nuanced.
Well, I feel that the millennium generation, it's so different from past generations. I mean, we have all this new technology, we have all these new issues that have came about because of technology and because of all the new things that have been happening. So a lot of young adults have become more involved, and it's so different from what the younger generations in past elections 20 or 30 years ago have done. So I don't think it's right to label the millennium generation and stereotype them in certain ways, because a lot of us in the millennium generation are getting involved, and we are fighting for the issues that we care about. And as you can see, a lot of them are running for election, or they're making sure to listen to other young adults to make sure that all our voices get heard collectively.
You're definitely fired up. I can see that right now, which is good, because that's the kind of energy that inspires older voters, older people to stay involved and get involved.
Right.
But one of the things I will say, and again, is that other generations, when they didn't have that instant utopia up here, they voted for the person who wasn't all of a sudden, rainbows from the sky. They would just say get disenfranchised, and you'd see their numbers drop off. But the millennium generation seems to be much more tenacious, and you recognize that nothing, changes have to happen in a way. It's not going to be automatically overnight. So do you see a less of a disenfranchisement from lack of a quote-unquote immediate results among millennium generation than has been discussed in the past?
Yeah, I think with young people, we need to really stick it out. We need to really commit to ourselves. We need to commit ourselves to the issue, to the cause for the long haul. I think we may be tenacious, but I think what you've seen is only a short-term tenacity. We need to really show the elder generations that we're in this for real. We're committed for the long haul. You're going to see us again and again and again.
and again.
And I think if you can show your commitment, if you can show your presence at the meetings, at whatever functions, I think they're more likely to pass it off to you, to hand the torch and say, hey, here, this is what you're dealt with. You have my good graces. So I think it's a commitment issue. I think that that's something that we young people need to really understand is when we need to show commitment.
Exactly.
If we can't do it, then
You don't want to.
There's going to be this. There's going to continue to be this separation between the older generations and our generation. We need to connect, and I think that's what we can do from our perspective.
Talking to my young colleagues here and there, and people involved, what to me is kind of fascinating is the idea of looking beyond silos and traditional parameters and walls and trying to, create this cross connection. Farming, for instance, we talk about agriculture. One of the things that has come up has been, hey, tech and agriculture are not completely siloed, differential entities. Mm-hmm. Young people are saying you can have technology in farming. You can still be an urban connected person and still be able to farm. A case I use is in Australia, where the university equipped farmers with new tools and technologies with iPhones and to monitor crop watering and everything, and young people now are really wanting to get involved. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's the kind of conversation that needs to happen here, especially with young people, is to say, hey, a field does not mean you're isolated. You can't have your technology and farm. Right. Do you think that's something that will gain traction here, that kind of thought set?
Absolutely. I think more education needs to be done, that the farming industry is just not about farmers, mm-hmm. not just about the people out in the field pulling the crops and harvesting, the fruits or the vegetables or whatever. It's farming is about marketing. Mm-hmm. It's about distribution of the products, marketing of the products. There's all these different facets of the farming industry, and I think young people, I guess they need to be, informed that this is, farming is just not hard labor.
Yeah.
There are all these other areas within the farming industry that you can use your marketing degree in, or use your MBA in.
And you get young people involved into these areas, and they can also help to reinvigorate the industry. New ways of marketing, new ways of using technology, to make farming a 21st century attraction instead of, like you said, this visual in your mind of just hard back-breaking labor every day in the sun.
We certainly need those laborers, but I think there are other job opportunities within the farming industry.
And that's where really the young people are helping to drive the conversation. Right. Don't look at the world in the way it's always been looked at the past. Right. And that to me is really exciting about both working with you guys and with other young people within whatever business community, is the idea, hey, you know what? There's ways of looking at things, new ideas are always welcome, and there's no such thing as non-synergy. And that's really, so that's what's really exciting. And the fact that you guys are involved and engaged, and you can see it through Facebook and social media in such a constructive and a tenacious way, is really exciting. As we wrap it up here, to the viewers, to the young viewers who may be watching, what is your one thought you would like to leave them with, first with you, Brittany, and then Raytan, about why it's important that they are involved and stay involved, and any type of feedback coming upon this important election year?
Well, my advice would be to stay civically engaged and to pre-register to vote. In Hawaii, you can pre-register at 16, and then if you turn 18 by the election date in August, then definitely get out there and vote, because it's really important to have the voices of youth out. I mean, if it's the majority of voters right now are all on the older side of the spectrum, and they're getting their voices heard. But if we want things to happen for our future when we grow up and when as young professionals, then we need to get our voices heard instead of just having the older generation get their voices heard. So by doing that, we need to make sure that we do our civic duties and get out there and vote.
Raytan, final thoughts to our young viewers out there?
Yeah, I think my final message would be to just stay involved. Well, to get involved. I think there are many opportunities to sit on a neighborhood board, to sit as a member on a community association or for a nonprofit. I think there are many opportunities out there. Really take the initiative yourself and just do it and stick to it. I think commitment is a big thing that I think a lot of young people need to have.
Excellent. Well, everybody, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll be back next Wednesday with another issue of Facing the Future. As you can tell, the millennium generation is ready to roar this election cycle, and we are excited about this and the new ideas. Have a great week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday as we start facing our future. Aloha.